are headed in the right direction. But your feedback does come with us, and we bring it to ILT, and we bring it to one-on-ones, and we talk to our mentors, my supervisor. We do seek ways to be able to meet your needs. So just know that it's even on a campus level, that's very valid. Without, what is it? Without further ado, I said over ado. Clayton worked really hard. In spirit of, we talked about that last time too, just wanting to align everything, make things make sense. So it's not just, what was that meeting we did? Or you kind of just don't even know the purpose. The purpose of this meeting and the agenda goes hand in hand with everything we're doing. So I know you are gonna do a great job explaining it, but I wanted to speak to it. Also, Jeannie. Oh. No. Paris, thank you for joining us.
Hey. Okay.
Tomorrow is optional on the afternoon, but since we got a campus compliment, I say we finish the week with sweats.
Hey. It's kind of weird that I have a microphone, but I'm gonna work with it. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, if you're not at your right table, there are some ultra fancy little table name plates that I made. They're very high tech. I worked on them for about 40 seconds. They're amazing. I know you all like them. So if you're not at your table, please find your way to your table. And I also forgot that this was in the cafe, so sorry about the microphone. But here we are. And the close quarters, but here we are. Okay, so we're gonna talk about groups today. But before we start, I would like to share a video with you that I think is relevant for me personally. And you may have seen this video before. If you're a fan, I'm hoping that there's volume here. All right, here we go. Next step is to fold in the cheese.
What does that mean? What does fold in the cheese mean?
He folds it in.
I understand that, but how do you fold it? Do you fold it in half like a piece of paper and drop it in the pot, or what do you do?
And I cannot show you everything.
Okay, well, can you show me one thing?
Here's what you do. You just fold it in.
Okay, I don't know how to fold broken cheese like that.
I don't know how to be any clearer. You take that thing that's in your hand
Huh?
and you
If you say fold in one more time,
fold it in.
this is your recipe. You fold in the cheese then.
Don't you dare.
You fold it in.
Damn it. Oh, good. That's pretty. Okay, so the reason I showed you this is because sometimes when we do professional development or when we roll out new things, it kind of feels like someone's telling us to fold in the cheese, and we think that's a great thing to tell us, but tell us how you do it, right? That's kind of one of the things about changing things and new professional developments. So today we're going to talk about our small groups, which is something that we've been talking about. It's going to talk a little bit about why we're doing this and why it's important. So the objective for today is for us to establish a consistent data-driven framework for small group instruction in reading and math across all grade levels. So we're going to try and figure out how we can make this framework more consistent. And we're also going to ensure that instructional practices are aligned, equitable, and responsive to student needs through the intentional use of assessment data. So the key word here today is obviously data. That's kind of how we're looking at our groups. So why is it important for us to base our groups on data? Because effective small group instruction is the key component of differentiated teaching. And that's how these variations and how we differentiate with our students, but how we target them. Okay. Also, a big thing that's important for us to all think about is that it's aligned with our campus goal. So our campus goal is the driver of what we are trying to achieve as a campus. It's our roadmap for how we're gonna do this year. So our campus goal is, and this will promote coherence, improved instructional efficacy, and support continuous academic progress for all students. That's our alignment with our instruction is aligned with our data. But it's also a district goal. It's one of the main goals of Frisco ISD. So even though we are just kind of thinking in our world at Riddle and what we're doing, we are part of Frisco ISD. And we represent them and we are supporting and striving to the completion and of their goals. So we're trying to make sure our goals and what we're doing align with them. So just to kind of specifically share this is actually from the website where everybody in the world can see what Frisco ISD is working on this year. There's their goal: improve student performance by strengthening instruction, balanced assessment practices, and data-driven decision-making. So it's not a Riddle, it's a Frisco thing, kind of what we're working on and how we're thinking about making our groups that aligns with what all of Frisco is doing. One of the things I wanted to point out was where it says, future ready priorities is guaranteed and viable curriculum. So all learners demonstrate grade level achievement. But for curriculum to be guaranteed and viable, it means that all students have equal access to the same essential learning and that teachers have enough time to teach it well. So that's what we're looking at with curriculum. And then guaranteed means every student. Viable means there's enough time and resources to do that. Frisco gives us the resources. So we should be able to have guaranteed and viable curriculum. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. This is a 3-part series. Today, we're gonna do part 1, yay! Okay, part 1, that's what we're gonna do today. We're all gonna show what we're currently doing for small groups. We're all gonna say what we're doing for all the different categories. We're all gonna look at it so we can see kind of a snapshot of what's happening in all the rooms. I don't know what's happening in math in kindergarten, but I want to. So it was really beneficial for us last year when we did vertical teams to see kind of how everybody was doing different things. It's really eye-opening when you look at it that way. So it's a good thing when we're all together to look at it. And so in next week, we are going to, ITL is going to take all the stuff, Megan, ITL, they're going to take everything that we show them, talk about today, and they're going to think, what is the best way for us to serve our students in small groups? They're going to find us a streamlined type process. And then they're going to come back and they're going to teach it to us all at the same time. So we'll all have a system. Everybody's so excited. Woo! Yeah. And then we're going to try it. We're just going to give it a try. So we're going to have our teams. So you'll have, if you have 6 people, okay, only 4th grade is 6 people, but so 2 people will do math, 3 people will do reading. You're going to kind of figure out how it works for you, but everybody on the team is going to give it a try. The old college try. And then we're going to come back in 3 weeks and we're going to talk about how it went. We're going to reflect. So it's kind of the same thing it's kind of like what we ask our students to do, right? We're seeing what you're doing and we're going to show you, we're going to model it for you, and then you go try it. So we're kind of being the students, we're going to go try it. Sound good? Yes? Yeah, we're going to learn how to fold in the cheese. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. I didn't know we were having a previous speaker, so we might knock it down a little bit. So very similar to what we did last year, we're going to go around our groups. That's why you're in vertical teams, is so you can share what you're doing in each group. And you're going to talk about what you do to how do you make the groups in your class or at your grade level, how do you make your math groups? Right? Do you use data? What data do you use? Yes, and do you share kids? There's 2 shared groups. They're gonna talk about what they do to figure out how to share kids. So you're gonna say, what do you actually do in a super honest way? Yeah, and everyone's gonna do that. I've made some timekeepers. And then we're gonna share out just like we did. So we're gonna talk about what we did. Now, I know, and then we're gonna discuss next steps. I know that this might feel a little icky. Okay, I'm gonna just come here to our example first. So you. Whoops. There it is. Okay, this is a lot, I know. But look how different it already is. Okay, so say this is your group guided reading. You will notice that it doesn't say kinder, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. But I left the table up there so you guys can kind of type in what you're doing, maybe take a screenshot of how you plan your groups, a screenshot of your schedule. We're just trying to get all the information out there so we can figure out how we can find the best way to do it and move forward from here. Yes? Okay, so that's just, kind of an example. So I'm gonna go back to the norms. We're gonna be positive. The thing about it is everybody in this room does groups. I know you do. Everyone does groups. Everyone works hard, and it's everyone's goal for your students to be the best. Yes, that's why we are here. That's why we work hard. And I know we work hard because I'm working hard with you, right? So the goal of this is for us to find a way that we can work together and we can make it easier for ourselves, but more targeted and stronger for our kids. Because we want them to grow. And data is showing that they're not quite growing as much as we want them. So we're here to fix that, and we're here to make sure they can grow even more than the expectation. That's what we want. We all want to win. I might want to win more, but we all want to win. We all want our students to grow, right? Can I get a thumbs up? Everybody say Giga Maggies. I tried. Okay, so we're going to be honest in sharing our information with the group. Again, don't put your name to it. Don't put your grade level. Don't put it in a specific box. But we really, really want to see what everybody's doing. That's the goal. That's what we're working on today. We're going to all participate in the discussion. We're going to all take turns going around the table. And we're going to keep on focus on what is best for our students. That's what we're working on. So if your name had a little asterisk by it, do you know? If your name had one? If your name had an asterisk by it, please raise your hand. Yeah, let's see you. Yep, great. You are the timekeeper / leader of the group. Okay, so I had said 3 minutes, but why don't we do about 2 minutes? So we have enough time to get through showing it to everybody. So everybody open up your computer. You're getting ready to share. Okay. Megan shared it with everybody. Thank you, Megan.
Yes.
Megan shared it with everybody. We're gonna have some positive discussion. We're gonna lay it all out there, what everyone's doing, and see where we can go. Sound good? Okay, once everybody gets it, okay, you should make sure you should all have a slide to put your information on. I'm gonna leave the example slide up here. I literally just went on the drive and pulled 6 people's guided reading stuff from my previous teams. So that's mine. Well, not all my team, but if you're old school, you know that one over there. Okay, y'all ready? On your mark, get set, go. No, we're on 3 for 5 now. Oh, that is so. Perfect, sorry about that.
I just want to mention, we can really.
Oh.
This is not,
Guys, come on back for 1 second.
1 second, this is not a value. This is not how we're checking what you're doing, right? Like, this is not the time where you're like, ooh, do I want, no. This is you just actually working with that team, and we're gonna give you, the goal is to give you some solid, feedback from each other too. This is a vertical team time. This is not T-test time. So do not overthink it or be like, oh, well, they're gonna see. No, this is for you and your people.
Good.
Yeah, I just don't have any.
Yeah.
So you don't have. Since we. Yeah, everyone works well. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I noticed that one.
That's what.
Get out of there, everybody's looking terrible.
Well, no. How do you make your drinks? In your class, math. How do you make your drinks? Like. No, the way it's nothing is. You plan, don't just go to that. That's fine. That's not mine. Every time I start. I thought that's good. Are you doing? All of my time. Okay, I just wanted you guys to. I was just the first one. And if the box don't work. Just your program. Everybody. Yeah, we're just giving them and they can sell it. Perfect. And then when you drop it, you can. Yeah, you got your share. I need to yeah. Compared to other time being, I can start. Yeah. Finally, I probably won't talk to them. So I document my trips like day to day on paper, but I made my trips this spring, data. That's the problem solving for the day, like I either have to go get one phone and not be able to do things or like stop that.
problem, it's like problem solving, then it goes to their station, they got to go to the next group, reflect on what they feel like they're. And then obviously we have to have what grades that they take well, we come in and because that's, you know, they actually play with based on the students, because they're the only autonomous thing, whether it's not. And I did it. Time favor. Yes, I, you know, yeah. One is, it's like the snapshot. All of our, all you like keep my schedule for everything. And then also like. Oh, fair. Yep. How do you think? Yeah. You did it in 30 seconds. I can start to take time. Start it. Yeah. Feel like we should. Okay.
I'm gonna just put another little criteria in there for you. Think about, one other thing, think about with your groups is how often do they change? Do you keep these groups for 9 weeks? Do they change every week? Why do they change? Do they change because you did running records and you changed their reading level? Or you don't change until the next assessment? Think about kind of how you regroup as well while you're talking. Here's my camera, sorry.
Yeah. That was great. I love these. Right. Thank God. The kids that. Good job. You said not to be the same. Also, and if you so like I jump on your it's that's something weird, like guys, you have I get your view. I don't know, it's not what you want, you have to take one, you have to sell it. Well, they ended up working. I do have a question about the pleasant. So like sometimes like they say that they did actually says I said. Like so like I will pull them down. I'm sure like like start your launch, but I feel like what? Yeah, in a couple of months. But I think it's just like. I don't. Any energy. How you get Oh, that. That is. I think it's that.
Okay, guys, I want another, great conversation to think about when you're talking.
Right.
When you're talking, don't forget to, guys, real quick, don't forget that tell us about how your groups are going, but also, is there a way that you group kids that you're filling in gaps that are like multiple grade levels below? Like, what are you doing with those groups? Is there any sharing with those groups? Is there win time happening with those groups? So your groups of kiddos that have 1, 2, 3 year gaps, what are you doing with those and how are you putting those kiddos into the schedule? So I'm sure you don't have a group of 4 of those kids that are all something years apart, so how are you doing that? And I'm gonna give you about 2 more minutes with your group, so pick somebody who wants to be the presenter.
Where then you think they'll lower thing. And I rolled them at the end of my. They, when I say they, I mean. It's a word. A lot similar, and they. Really good, and it's not. But I'm really kind of. You're trying to get a thing on it. So it's like, I didn't really want to, yeah, so I can. I'm saying, how's it going? What I did, I do, schedule, I'm gonna get a man, it's quite, schedule. You kind of like know he's absent. And so I said, how much I'm trying to avoid there was a I did this, I so that's before I have to. No, I don't, and I do that on Friday, so it just leaves a day. It's just like, oh, you had a job. No, I was kind of really went something in my office, and I just, and like, it's really. I started doing that. When things. I know that's really to me sometimes. It says, on the reading, on both of them, they have. I see Friday.
Okay, so stay on time, so everybody's leave on time, and let's still love you play games. We are going to first share. So if you are ready to share, put your finger on your nose. Okay, fine. You guys ready? Ready to share?
Yeah.
You guys ready?
Oh.
Sorry. Sorry. Okay, did you guys pick somebody that's gonna share? Okay, can I just say real quick before we start? I get to walk around and hear all of you guys, which is actually really cool because you guys are really having amazing conversations. And I know that you're interested in what other teams are doing. And I know that it's really productive conversations that are happening. And even if, you know, you're also getting tips, I'm getting tips of like extra things to do with my kids. So just, I think it's really powerful being with other teachers in the school, different grade levels, to kind of see what we're all doing, because we're all working hard. All right. Again, sorry about the mic.
Probably have to get out for the brush. Oh.
Oh, yeah, that'd be.
Just getting there.
I was like, shared groups, what y'all do? Okay. So, shared reading groups, you are up first.
So we.
Oh, come on up.
Oh.
Next time. Here's the microphone. There's an echo in here.
So we noticed it's pretty consistent, grade wide with, or grade level wide with what we have in our group, that we all look at their DRA levels, or I know in kindergarten it's a little bit different, because they're coming in without one. But we look at their specific needs and group them based on like, if we have, for example, in third grade, like a heavy amount of 24s that are very below grade level, then we would create shared groups based on that, and it seems pretty consistent school-wide.
How did you create your groups? Like what type of ways? Like Trello?
Oh,
Post-its, like.
We do it on a spreadsheet where we have, it seemed like for all of us, we have some sort of document where all of us input our below level kids, our kids with needs, and then we'll create groups based on that. So it's something that we all put in together and look at together. And work on creating, whether it's shared groups or wing groups, shared being during reading time.
So it's all win, yeah, win time and shared during reading time. Was everybody doing shared during reading time?
I think
Not yet.
not yet. We just started our shared wing groups during reading time. But mostly for wing groups.
And I do one of changes every 9 weeks. Does anybody know, is there any, that all, everybody changes every 9 weeks based on reading level?
Yeah, you read evaluate application.
Thanks. I'm gonna just move the slide and you pass it. Shared math group. Shared math.
That's over there.
Shared math groups.
Yeah. I have a microphone, but I don't need it, right? Like, okay, so for the shared math groups, sorry, we talked about that, we kind of look at kind of the same data, but it's gonna be like the most recent assessment, whether it's like a CFA or an exit ticket. And then we also talked about how we're kind of like even working with like just what they might be struggling with that week. Ours change a little more frequently, so they wouldn't be like, basically like every week or every 2 weeks. It's kind of just basically as we see the students moving or growing, and then we would want to, you know, move them forward to show that kind of growth in that data. We did not put our win groups in. We didn't have room, the slide was too small, but we did, wanted just to talk about that it is the same where we kind of look at the math data. We look at, how they're doing and how they're growing and what they're really struggling in so that we can kind of put them into their groups. I know fourth grade personally has not started shared math groups in math time, but it is something that we are looking at as we talk within our planning about like where we see, like if I have one student that's still maybe struggling a little bit with like division and I only have one student, but somebody else has 2 students, we would want to group those together so they're not by themselves. We also kind of had a discussion about like Fridays and how sometimes Fridays are kind of like, I don't know how we say it, it's like makeup. Like a catch-up day. And so I was just sharing that instead of taking all my Friday out, I would like my highest group, I would like, okay, you're doing great. I've met with you for 4 days. I might just during the high group, pull some of the kids that might have absent or say maybe didn't finish an assessment or something like that, instead of taking Friday just to be an all catch-up day, because some of those kids would still need groups on a Friday. It would be very beneficial for them. I think that's everything.
Thank you. And then, so you said, you use CFA,
And
exit tickets.
snapshots, yeah, anything. I mean, it could just be like problem solving from that day that we see that they struggled on the carpet. I'm gonna pull them right then, and that might be my first group.
Right, so some fluid, like on the spot groups based on like you doing some aggressive monitoring.
I don't know how aggressive I am, but I am monitoring. I don't want to be in their face too much, but
Yeah.
Okay, here.
No.
Nope, next, okay. I just want to mention something that also might be taking up some of your, stressors maybe, or worries, or whatever it is, at any level that you're thinking through it. If you're holding back from committing to small group instruction because you want to make sure you can give more timely feedback and more on the spot teaching, give yourself the freedom to do so. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So one of the things that I can tell you, just as a suggestion, and you'll make it your way, you'll make it even better. If you're gonna meet 4 groups every day, maybe 3 can be pre-planned with very detailed, specific teaks and instructions. And 1 can be considered your immediate feedback or timely feedback. And so anytime within those 10 to 15 minutes, you could pull those students that, at the carpet, something seems like you want to hit it real quick. Maybe it's not going to become an intervention, but you want to just hit it in a smaller group before it becomes 2-3 days later. And now you've built on a strategy they already showed that they struggled with. So find your obstacles and let's problem solve them together. Don't let that hold you back. Questions on that?
And schedule in some
schedule
time
it.
for tweaks. Yeah,
Can't be like before, but like one of the whatever times.
Right.
It's good.
all right, guided reading. Wait, who's got to read? Oh, all the way over here. Come on over to do.
All right, so for us, it's pretty across, all the grades. We do, group by DRAs. We also do the adjusting based on running records and then whenever we see a need. And we have put our, as Mackenzie calls them, our sketch. Our sketch. And we also have where, they are like showing what they're knowing, so you are kind of addressing like the class needs as well. So they do it kind of in different ways in different grades. But the DRA is kind of a big one that we use, and then that running record as well.
And when I was listening to your group, one thing that I noticed with Ms. Gunn was she was talking about if she was teaching a skill, she would have the students do a sticky note and pop it on like a show what I know. I know Ms. O'Neill has one in her room as well. So it's kind of a good way where you can just walk over there and kind of scan and see which of your kids are getting it, which of your kids aren't getting it. So it's super quick thing there. So might be having this playthrough coming soon. Okay. No. Strategy reading groups. Oh, here we are, coming over to this question.
Okay, so we kind of talked about, pardon my voice too. We kind of talked about in strategy groups, for the most part, they are students that are reading above the DRA level based on the month, if you're either doing DRAs or running records. And then we group based, a lot of us based on CFA data, so we can be really responsive based upon grades or snapshots, or just kind of show what you know in class as well. In the lower grade, it looks a little bit different just because their levels aren't as drastic of a difference. We have kids in fourth grade that are like 60s, 70s, 80s, and then the lower grades is kind of a smaller. And so they do it based on DRAs and M class, and they also are doing CFAs too. But we basically talked about the point of strategy groups is we teach the strategy, then they have to go off and apply that. And that's where we can really assess if they understood it or, because if they're at a table doing it, sometimes it can be difficult because they do it and it's awesome and they go and apply it on a grade and you're like, did you ever come to the table? I don't know. And then I think that was it. Oh, and then we did talk a lot, Sam mentioned about the bubble kids, of kids that are on level as of right now in that, I'm not, the bench,
Right on the line,
like
on the edge.
of whatever the level is that you're supposed to be in that month during that running record or DRA, but making sure that we are still pulling them consistently because if them coming to your table versus not coming to your table could be the difference of them moving up, as they're supposed to in the reading progression or staying the same.
About like movement or changing groups, more fluid, some of them fluid, you know, how often changing the groups and, or.
Yeah, it was kind of across the board. Some of us do weekly, some of us do every 9 weeks, some of us do monthly, kind of just depends.
And then what data did you say, the CFA data, DRAs?
And then, M class for first. And, just keep it in kinder.
Yeah.
And they're in first. We didn't have anybody on either side.
Is your strategy? Oh, how do you make your shared groups and are you sharing? Oh, that's not it. Okay, moving on. Yeah, nope. Going on. All right. K2 math groups.
So it's not very different from the group sitting in front of us. So in kinder, at least, we're not sharing quite yet. But so ours in kindergarten, at least, we don't have a lot of data at the beginning of the year. So ours is based on the beginning of your data, like STEM scopes and then essential TEKS. And our groups today, pretty similar, like we don't have a lot of movement within our groups in the beginning. I mean, we do full groups based on, you know, what we've taught, if they got it or not, but for the most part, it's just pulling the kiddos that really don't have any like one-to-one correspondence, all of that stuff. So, we do win time for math later in the year, once our curriculum gets a little heavier. It's pretty light in the beginning, but I'm gonna have her talk about something because it's deep.
About other generic grade, yeah.
Sorry, not second, but I mean, you can clearly see it.
So, other generic grade. Generically mine at the bottom. And I know, I think it might be a little bit different from other teachers in second grade. It's just how I like to look at it. It's what makes sense to me. I do like a teak check-in, so kind of like whatever teak we're working on, I'll pull them and just initially do like the first column is just initially, okay, like, do you know what we're doing for this? Green is kind of, they've got it, they don't need me. Yellow is, we like kind of talk through it, but I think you did it. And then red is like, I hold your hand the whole way. So kind of as we go on and like the next day, I would pull my greens again and we would work on, they're ready to move on to the next skill. The yellow ones, I would probably review that last skill that they kind of dropped, not really, maybe give them a problem or two, just bring their own, then move to the next skill. And then, my ones in red, we would definitely revisit that skill that they weren't quite getting, or if it's someone who maybe like consistently running throughout, they'll kind of eventually have like their own specialized group for whatever level that they're working on. And then since it's still pretty early in the year, a lot of these are like check-ins initially for like whatever team we're working on. I might have not seen it before. But eventually it leads to like, I'll have an extension group where they consistently get it right every single time. So now they have harder problems and the intervention group on kind of as well.
And that's cool. I like that. So I like how, so what you're saying is you have them, in groups based on match grade.
Yes.
of one specific team, the one that you're working on right now.
So I can pull all of them and we'll all kind of go over like the same problem and I can, like a grade level problem, so I can see like who got it, who doesn't, who's ready to move on, who needs previsit. And then we kind of go there each day.
And then you move them to the different mastery levels as they progress.
Yeah, it's like I knew, you can't read my purple there, but the purple, the little purple bar is kind of what it is. So we're talking about regrouping a lot right now in second grade, so like I'll pull them. If you can regroup in pictorial form, great, we're moving on to expanded form. If you are struggling, we're gonna keep working on pictorial form. I have another group that we're just working on writing our numbers, so it kind of is like,
A learning progression.
yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Great.
And we also.
Heidi.
I guess mine are a little different. It's basically just that I have a group that goes specials based on behavior needs, don't want to put too many high needs together in specials. So the another group that is in math, I just don't shoot it like based on the student and where they're at.
Thank you. All right, let's go. Upper grade math.
We changed it to 2 through 5 because we have the speech and she's 2, but we love her. So we just wanted to make sure she was in on her. Okay, so we all kind of talked about very similar things. We all use data, whether that's anecdotal throughout the day or summatives, just like grades. 2 people use the EOL teaching guides, which are really cool if you like. Sorry, it's not. That's only gonna leave a mark. That's kind of crazy. I'm fine. Anyway. The no. I'm gonna, yeah. I'm gonna lose my train of thought. Oh, the EOLs, okay. If you haven't seen it, if you give them an EOL like assessment, you can go back to these guides and they will give you like specific lessons to give the kids based off of the questions that they missed. It's really cool. So 2 people talked about using those, which are great. We mostly talked about making groups, yeah, through assessments. Some of us changed them every week, some of them changed every couple weeks. Because math, I feel like it's a little bit more fluid, like there's more teaks that are covered, there's still like smaller groups that we can hit. Win time, we talked about, especially for 4th and 5th, we have AEPs, and so those are students that did not meet on the STAR test, so we know there's some gaps in learning from earlier years, so we go back and teach from there, so 5th grade is doing bridges for that, and I think a lot of 4th grade is using the small group toolkits, but using the progression one where we can go back and look at the younger grades. The vertical, yeah, that's what it is. What else? Did I miss anything? Follow it?
Talked about don't change them.
Some of us weekly, some of us like every couple weeks, kind of just depending on what's happening. Me personally, like sometimes I'll have it set, like, I'm gonna meet with these kids for 3 days this week about division, and then like one of them comes to me for 2 days, and I'm like, you clearly don't need this anymore, so I'm like, and we're moving on. So mine may change like from day, week. Some students stay for a month because that's what they need, is a month of consistency with a certain topic, so also just depends on the kid and what they're doing.
Thanks. I feel like all groups said what they do. So just to kind of, figure out how we all feel. How does everybody feel? Good? Is it, I mean, is it eye-opening to see kind of what everybody does? I mean, I think it's interesting to kind of see, obviously, everyone's doing groups, because everyone just talked about it. Everyone just talked about their kids. So let's celebrate that. Right, so we're all spending that time figuring out what our kids need and meeting with them. So next steps will be coming soon from ITL and lovely Ms. Powers. Woo, you want to add something?
I just want to say thank you guys, because just even at my table, we shared some very good, like, conversations, and I'm hearing that more and more, where it's really just about the students. It's student focused, solution focused. It's more of, here's what I'm doing. Is that cool? I'm like, yeah, actually, it's fine. Or, cool, do you want to try doing it this way maybe? And so just know that we're here to support you. We really are. Your success is a direct impact on the students, and then that's obviously why we're here. So just remember that we are all together, doing it all together. Today, Nurse Jean was part of how we're gonna make sure the kid is learning conversation. I mean, Ms. Gibbon, you were telling us about how you do small groups, but based on the needs you have, it's so many angles to doing this thing. Do not get bogged down by the day-to-day of it. And then I was gonna say, Hannah, you mentioned something about, it depends on the group. That's how often I change that. Sometimes that's how long the group is too, and that's okay. So if you realize, especially in math, they just need computation. They don't need to sit with you and do it for 20 minutes twice a week. They might need to sit with you for 5, but they're getting that repetition. You're the expert. So you guys were getting it all along. Now we're just putting it on a spreadsheet that allows the entire grade level to work together. So I always bring it back to that. If you didn't hear me on the mic, tomorrow and Friday, sweat day. And
I'm not gonna.
want to end it?
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
It's not like just a quick 5-minute catch up. No, Jessica, don't say my.